So, you got about $3 grand to spend on a mountain bike and you're not sure which full suspension you should go with. Well, hopefully we're gonna help you answer that question. Let's get on topic. Hey everybody, it's Thomas with Get Out Arizona, and you are watching another great episode of Bike Showcase on Toolbox Topic. I'm joined once again by my co-host Brandon Van Leeuwen. Brandon, how the hell are you?
Cool.
Nice, just like Fonzie. Inside joke, guys. But yes, he is cool. And once again, we're coming from the Trek Bicycle Stores of West Phoenix in Goodyear, Arizona, where the cool kids hang out, and me. And today we have a great bike showcase for you. You guys have been asking and looking at, you're watching the videos that are a year old. So here in 2024, so you guys can kind of get a frame of reference. If you're watching this, it's June 2024. We're getting ready to go in July. So we're going to do some head-to-head showcases so you guys can kind of figure out if you're on the kind of undecided on the edge of which bike you should fix. We're going to do them for the mountain bikes. We're going to do some electrics, and we're going to do some road bikes as well to hopefully answer some of your questions and get you into the correct bike or the one that's actually going to suit your needs the best. So Brandon, today we have the Fuel EX7 and the Top Fuel 7.
Both current generations.
Both current generations. So we have the Gen 6 and then we have the Gen 5 on the Top Fuel. And they're both at $3,000.
Yep,
well,
a little bit less for the Top Fuel.
Right, so we're at $2,700, $2,699, and $2,999.
Right.
These bikes, man, 4 years ago, for two different riders.
Right.
And now we're seeing a tremendous amount of overlap because in the mountain biking community, you guys can't make up your goddamn minds. And instead of just riding, you want to make a new classification every other week. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. All right, enough for my soapbox. Brandon, let's talk about these amazing bikes.
All right.
Because both of them are fantastic.
Yep. If you are a Trek fan, and again, your budget's around that $3,000 mark, these are your two best options to choose from.
Yes.
Now, after tax, they're going to get you over that $3,000, but you know what I'm saying. Both fantastic choices. Both, yes, there is some overlap. Like I would say the Fuel now is what the Top Fuel is now what the Fuel was 5 or 10 years ago.
Right.
And the Fuel now is what the Remedy was, but the Remedy's gone. So now I have this. So the muddy,
Which
waters,
I like the Remedy.
The waters are all muddy and not,
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, though. The Remedy at one point was considered a very long travel bike.
I consider that a long travel bike.
Which I don't. I'm looking at this going like, meh,
150 millimeters, 140 millimeters.
Right, 150 up front, 140 in the back.
That's a big bike to me.
Okay, and I'm thinking a big bike to me would be somewhere like around 170 up front, 160 up front, and like 180, 190 in the back.
Right.
A slash almost, which we'll talk about in another time. But, and now for you guys who don't know, maybe it's first time tuning in, my favorite bike out of the group of bikes that I have, Esmeralda, is a Fuel EX99 or 98, and I love that bike. And I ride it everywhere. I just don't give an F. But Brandon also knows I've been pining for a Top Fuel for quite some time. I just don't know where to fit that in. So 150, 140, and then here we have
120, 120.
120, 120.
Yes.
But both of these have amino leak that you can adjust.
Right.
And really fine tune that suspension to you.
So while we're on it, since you brought up fine tuning, this one does have the amino link, so you can adjust the head tube angle by like a half a degree, and then your bottom bracket height by swapping the amino link. On the Fuel, you can purchase, not only does it have an amino link, it also has a different shock setting.
Right.
So you can reverse the shocks, the shock mount setting for more aggressive or less aggressive. You can also purchase an aftermarket on the 7. It has to be aftermarket.
Right.
A headset that will also adjust the headset or the head tube angle as well. So a lot more adjustability on the Fuel.
Yeah. A lot of tech in both of these bikes.
A lot. If you like to tinker, the Fuel is really the one for you.
Absolutely.
And you like that big travel.
The only option I have on mine is I can replace that rear shock to get a little bit more movement if I wanted to. But because of the generation mine is, I don't have that adjustability and fine tuning.
And both these bikes, if you want to upgrade the fork later on, you can do about 10 millimeters without messing up the way the bike handles.
Right.
So you can go up to a 160 on this one. You can go up to a 130 on this one.
Correct.
No problem.
And
both of them are
mine.
very similarly spec'd as the price point would dictate. So both of them a smattering of XT, SLX. They have these new TRP slate brakes, which feel okay to me so far.
Right.
We'll see what the
I haven't heard anything good. I haven't heard anything bad.
We'll see what the dependability
it's
is.
Very neutral.
Right now,
on
out of
that.
the box, I don't mind the way they feel. They feel positive. They feel firm. Not a lot of modulation. I don't like a lot of modulation personally. Right. But if you do, these might not be the ones for you because they seem to hit and they seem to hit pretty hard right off the bat.
Well, and kind of, I guess, stay with the fashion that we normally, have here to not try a new hat. Let's start from the front. Let's work our way back.
Yeah.
But we both have aluminum frames. Let's talk about,
They're both platinum aluminum, so the highest end aluminum that Trek makes.
Right. So we're going to have that hydroforming.
Yes, of course.
They're both going to have little stash compartments
which
there.
is cool for an aluminum bike because previously you can only get
got that on carbon.
The cargo box on a carbon bike. So now on these generations you have some cargo.
That's
on
very
the down
cool.
tube.
And you guys can put whatever you want in there: snacks, tubes, tools. Brandon and I joke around to where we hide our heroin in bourbon. So, but yeah, so you have the higher end aluminum on here. Now, when we talk about rim set, we're going to see Bontrager on both of these.
Line Comp 30s. Yeah, they're great. Aluminum wheel set.
Right.
Very dependable. They're fine. They're not super sexy, but they work. They're great.
They work, and
for
you
the
can
price
ride
point,
these.
They're an excellent wheel.
Yeah, and you can ride these till they break, and then worry about upgrading from there.
Right.
So
XR4s on both. Sets of XR4s on both. Of course, they are tubeless. Not even a question at this price point.
Yes. Yes, because at this point we're not bike Amish. So
and then RockShox 35.
Right. So we got great adjustability on our front suspension. We've got 4-piston brake on these. Right. Is it 4 or 2?
That it looks like a 4.
It's a 4.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, we'll put it down here. It's usually this guy that's incorrect. So, but we do have good stopping power as far as that goes. Excuse me. Now, as we come back, we got standard issue on the cockpit. Nothing overly sexy, but very, very functional.
And just another great way to make that bike yours later on down the road without having to spend a lot of money. I mean, it's a nice thing to upgrade your cockpit and put your own little flair.
Well, at some point you could put a different stem. You can go to a 35 on the handlebar. We can go with a carbon handlebar.
Sure.
There's definitely a lot of different things
you can do there for not a lot of money.
Yep. We both got dropper posts.
And these are the Bontrager dropper posts, which reliability has been good. Reliability has been good. Also, the ease of maintenance has been good on them as well. One thing that I wish that they had that some other bike companies do better is adjustability of the travel.
Yes.
Some companies do that much better.
My PNW actually has
good
that
very
adjustability.
well. Yep.
So, and they're very maintenanceable. There should be a video somewhere. We'll link it up top as far as that goes. And you know what else we'll link up top? The bell notification icon and the thumbs up. Because we'd like you to support the channel. A lot of you guys watch, which we love, but not everybody subscribes. So do us a favor because it helps out. All right, Brandon, keep going.
And just, both being 7s, comparable, seat post, saddle, heading on back, same wheels, again, nearly identical drivetrains.
Similar rear shock as well. Both going to be Fox. Both going to have that adjustability. We have a similar drivetrain. Now this should be what?
It's a 12-speed XT drivetrain.
Right, and we're going to have
SLX
the 51. Yep, it's going to be a 51 since it's not a SRAM, it's not a 52.
It's a good-looking cassette. What I really like,
it is.
I don't know why, but I think these SLX cranks look beautiful. I've always liked SLX cranks for whatever reason. I've liked them always better than XT and XTR look cranks as far as the way they look.
Right.
They're not expensive at all, and I don't know. I just think I've always had a soft spot for SLX cranks in my.
It's a great value proposition. So you're getting something that's dependable. It's proven, and at the end of the day, it has a good look to it, like you were saying. It just doesn't look like
always had a nice finish.
Inexpensive. So. Good finish and everything like that. We got SLX derailleur on there or XT derailleur?
XT derailleur.
XT derailleur,
XT
XT derailleur.
Identical drivetrains.
So
and then both of them have the opportunity they are rapid drive hubs.
Okay.
So if you wanted to spend a little more money to get 108 points of engagement, new pawls and springs will get you that rapid engagement as well.
And how much extra does that cost?
Geez, like another 40 or 50 bucks probably.
Okay. So trust me, my friends, do it. I am the king of shredding these goddamn things. And every time we do, we have to rebuild. And once we started putting the extra pawls in there, it kind of solved the problem.
Right.
Doesn't mean I'm not going to do Chris King's, because I will. It's on my list. But definitely, it's money well spent, because you don't want to be stranded. And every time it's happened to me, I've been several miles away from my truck. So no fun walking that bike back home.
Yep. So nearly identical bikes, but they are for different riders for sure. So and we'll get into that now.
Yes. This is considered an XC bike, cross country, or enduro at this point?
I call that a I don't even put it in a classification. I'd say that the Fuel just does everything and does everything very well. It climbs well, it descends well. It is the all-round bike for if you just want to ride a bike and have a nice mountain bike.
Right.
It's that bike.
And I'm going to link the video up top as well. Again, I love the Fuel EX. I've referred to this as the Toyota Tacoma of the truck lineup, mountain bike lineup, because it is. It's a do-all.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you want to get in and make sure you can get back out, what do you get? A Toyota Tacoma. You know, we're not going with a Frontier or a Chevy Colorado, guys. Let's be honest with each other. But yes, fabulous bike. But for some people who are desperate to throw this in a classification, would you call this an all-mountain? I mean, there's so many different classifications.
I would call, I guess, all-mountain.
Okay.
I guess all-mountain.
Okay, which is dumb. Just go out and ride. But we know some of you, just like the weight, we haven't talked about weight, and I guess I'll put it down there now. But yes, okay, so before this used to be considered an XC bike.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And some people now call the Slash an enduro, not a downhill. So
yeah,
we'll talk about that.
I know.
And we got a whole nother video coming up on that, guys. So okay, so
but if you don't want to race, if you don't particularly want to race, if you don't particularly want to take it to the ski slope,
right?
But you want to be able to do that, the Fuel,
right?
Absolutely.
Now, if you're more of a racer,
correct,
and you want something that you have options for, you know, you can lock out, you could treat it more like a hardtail, maybe not as much adjustment, and you want something a little bit more than the Super Caliber offers, the
Top Fuel. And this is where I live, right here.
Okay.
So I've owned Fuels, I've owned Remedies, Top Fuels, all those bikes. I've tried them all out extensively. So when I get, even with my Top Fuel, I get done with my ride, and I'm not using all that travel. I'm not even using 120 mils of my travel up. That's just the way I ride.
Right.
I prefer riding a little bit longer, a little bit smoother, and not as aggressively. Right. So for that reason, the Top Fuel is the one for me. I like a bike that's a little bit snappier handling, a little bit better on the sprints, and that's what the Top Fuel does. Still very capable. Still, it'll do anything in this valley that I want it to. I can certainly take it to South Mountain, or I can take it to the cross-country courses over at White Tank. It does everything for me.
This is a bike you can even ride some of the trails in Sedona, Flagstaff, some of the ones that are maybe less aggressive, where you don't need that additional travel on the suspension. And you're not going to have an issue with it.
Yep. And again, that's the way I ride. I don't like getting hairy out there. I love riding, but I don't get out of control.
I shouldn't get out of control.
If you do like to get out of control, the Fuel is better for you. And you know, there have been times when I did have a Fuel and I did have a Remedy where the suspension saved my ass. There are times where I should have gone ass over tea kettle, you know, but that suspension, it sucked it all up, and you know, it got me out of
able to recover,
get me out of some rough spots for sure.
It's nice.
But I'm past that now.
Which again, I should be, but I'm an idiot, and I just keep going back for more. So I think I ride a little bit more cautiously though, but it's nice to have it when it's needed.
Right, but both are extremely capable in the right hands. I mean, this one will definitely let you be more aggressive. Yeah. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, if you wanted to. But like Pemberton, courses like Pemberton and stuff, McDowell Mountains, I mean, this is great.
Yeah.
You know, and that would be great even for a Super Caliber, you know, as far as that. Doing some of your circuit rides and everything, this would be perfect. Not that you couldn't do it with this, but this one's definitely going to have some advantages.
Where this one has shined for me also, I've enjoyed doing Whiskey 50. I did Matahay 100, some of the longer ones, Tour of the White Mountains, which isn't super long, but it's a long enough endurance course.
Yeah.
Bike shines in that respect. I didn't want any other bike. Well, maybe a Super Caliber. I've never had a Super Caliber. Maybe a Super Caliber.
I still want a Super Caliber.
This has been a fantastic, fantastic bike on endurance racing courses.
And it's good to have options too. I mean, at this point, I remember Brandon and I first started riding, and some of our viewers in that, Gen X demographic, well, we didn't have nearly the options back then. It was pretty harsh, but we still rode the same trails that we're riding now with those bikes back then. But it's nice to have options from a usability standpoint, safety standpoint. There's a lot of different pros and cons there. So
hopefully we've kind of given you an idea of who these riders are for.
Yep.
Also, I know they're going to ask, so a little over 35 pounds.
Oh, and I was already going to do the weight, but yes, a little over 35 pounds.
Which she is not light.
Nope.
That is not, that is not a light bike.
No.
This is not a light bike either. Both of them can be light.
Yes.
If you put down the coin, they can be lighter.
Very light.
This one's a little over 32 pounds for this one. Both of them size in a medium.
Yes. So once we go to large, it's going to be a little bit heavier.
Yep.
But if you changed out your rim set to carbon, carbon, just started replacing some of those parts, we can shave some weight off of each one of these.
Right.
And unless you wanted to spend big money and go with like a 9.8 or something like that with a full carbon frame, but that's where you're going to be. You're going to be right around, even dropping all the weight, right around the 30-pound mark. So, but they're still fun bikes, and they certainly don't act like they're that weight.
They do not. When you pick them up this way, you're like, oh, God. Once you get them on the trail, that all goes out the window.
Forget about it, yeah.
So don't pay too much attention to those numbers. Pay attention to how that bike rides and how that bike feels underneath you when you're in the dirt.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Brandon, anything else you want to add at this point? We'll cut these guys loose.
Nah, hopefully that gives them an idea of where these bikes lie in the lineup. And, again, like we always say, these bikes aren't cheap, but they are still on the more entry level. The only thing below this is the 5s.
Right.
Is a EX5
on the fuel.
Where we begin for the dual suspension.
Right.
So we're still on the entry-level portion of things, but still fantastic, capable bikes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And Brandon, like you said, we go back to the thing. We're not saying these are inexpensive. We don't want to think anybody, that we're being flippant about the cost. But for what you're getting for that cost is a whole lot.
Yep.
So at that point, that's it, guys.
Yep.
Like, subscribe, bell notification icon. Helps out the channel, helps out the video, the trifecta we enjoy so much around here. Links down below. Check Bicycle Stores of West Phoenix, the most important link that I could think of. Give Brandon and his team a call if you have any questions about today's video or any of the other videos that we have done. We also have some social media links, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. It's the devil's work, but we do group rides, group hikes, group photo walks. It's a lot of fun hanging out with Get Out Arizona. So follow us there, show us some love. The other links are affiliate links. You make a qualifying purchase on one of those links, we receive a small commission. You don't get charged anything, and it helps out with park passes, gas money, and coffee money, the other trifecta we love so much. So, my friends, thank you so much for your support. And what do we say at this point? I was about to finish up for Photo 4. Keep on creating. Be kind to yourself and others. Be amazing. This is what happens when you manage more than one social media account. Be kind to yourself and others. Be amazing stewards on that trail, and we have to ask.
What are you waiting for?
What am I waiting for? Get Out Arizona. Yes. I should switch back to caffeinated coffee. We'll see you on that next adventure. Brandon, we'll see you next week.
That was a good end.
That was a good ending.